All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Lily, and today we will be working on factoring using the Snowflake method. So I'm going to scroll down till we see our first example. So the Snowflake method is going to be used as a method to factor trinomials. So as we see here, this is a equation that has three terms, so it's a trinomial. And we know we need numbers that are going to multiply to be this number and add to be this number. And a way we can set that up is using this little snowflake. So I'm going to draw an X and a line through it. I'm going to multiply the A value. This value is A. This value we'll call B. And this value is C. In the top section, we're going to have A times C, and in the bottom section, we're going to have B. So let's set up our snowflake for this problem. Our A value is 1 and our C value is 40. So on top, we're going to have 40. And our B value is negative 14. So I'm going to put negative 14 down here at the bottom. Since I have a 1 in front of my x, we put ax here, but since our ax value is, our a value is 1, then we're just going to have x here, and we'll do the same thing on this side. So this is both ax. And then in these boxes, I'm going to have two numbers that will add to be negative 14 and multiply to be 40. So the easiest way to find these is to find factors of 40. So we have 1 and 40, obviously, 2 and 20, and 10 and 4. There may be more, but I'm going to use this because I can see that there's a relationship between 10 and 4, which multiply to be 40, and negative 14, because 10 plus 4 is 14. However, since I need it to be negative 14, then I'm going to have both of these numbers be negative. So the numbers I'm going to put here are negative 10 and negative 4. And as we know, a negative times a negative is a positive. So we still get positive 40 when we multiply these numbers together. So now that we've found our two numbers, we're going to look at these two sides of our snowflake. We have x minus 10 and x minus 4. What we're going to do is we're going to say that x squared minus 14x plus 40, this is going to be equal to those two terms that we have circled in blue, multiplied with each other. So it's going to be x minus 10 times x minus 4. And this is our factored form of our trinomial. If you want to get the solutions, we'll set x minus 10 times x minus 4 equal to 0. Now, if this term is 0, this term is being multiplied by this term. So if this term were 0, it would make the entire left-hand side 0, and therefore it will satisfy that this needs to equal 0. So we'll say x minus 10 equals 0. And the same is true for x minus 4. So x minus 4 equals 0. Now, to solve for x, we'll just move each to the other side. I'll add 10 and add 10 and get that x equals 10. Over here, I'll add 4 and add 4, which gives me that x equals 4. So these are our two solutions for the trinomial above. Let's take a look at this next trinomial we have. We have 3x squared plus 22x minus 45, and we can say that this equals 0 if we're trying to solve. So here we see that we have an a value that is greater than 1. Now, one technique you can do is see if we can factor out this a value as a GCF. So let's see, if I take out a 3, I'll be left with x squared plus, well, 3 doesn't go into 22. So we're not going to be able to take a 3 out. So when we do our snowflake, we're going to have a times c in the top. 3 times negative 45 is going to be negative 135. And then in the bottom here, we put the b term, 22. So now I'm going to teach you a little trick. On the left side of the page, we see that we need numbers that are going to multiply to be 135. And that's not something I can myself can figure out in my head. So I'm going to use a little trick in Desmos to figure out my factors of 135. I'm going to hit the plus button here and hit table. Where it says x1, I'm just going to put x. And where it says y1, I'm going to put 135 divided by x. Now, if I go here in this column, I'm going to type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here we're going to see it's 135 divided by x. So when x is 2, we get 67.5. So 135 divided by 2 is 67.5. So this is showing us all of the factors for 135. And if I see that 5 and 27, 5 and 27 have that relationship to be 22. So if I write over here, 5 times 27 equals 135. Then we know 27 minus 5 is 22, which is the number we need them to add to. And this will also show us that we need our 5 to be negative. So we're going to have 27 and negative 5. Now, the difference here, I'm going to have a difference in these two triangles of my snowflake because instead of just x, I'm going to have 3x for each one. So I have 3x and 3x. Just like before, I'm going to circle these. Just like before, I have circled both of my sides of my triangle in blue. And the last step we need to do is we need to see if these will simplify. 3 and 5 don't have any common numbers, so we're not going to simplify that. But we know 3x and 27 have a common factor of 3. So if I take out a 3, I'm going to be left with x plus 27 divided by 3 is 9. So instead of doing 3x plus 27 times 3x minus 5, we're not going to have this 3x plus 27. We're going to have the simplified x plus 9. So our solution is going to be x plus 9 times 3x minus 5. And we know that this equals 0. Now, if we want to solve, we'll put x plus 9 equals 0 and 3x minus 5 equals 0. Solving this one, x is going to equal to negative 9. Over here, we'll add 5. That gives me 3x equals 5. Divide by 3, divide by 3. We'll get that x equals 5/3. So these are my two solutions to this trinomial. Here I have one more example for this video. Go ahead and pause the video and try and do it yourself. All right, so the first step we're going to do is see if we can factor out a 2, but 2 will not go into 11, so we're not going to be able to factor it out. So when we do our snowflake, we'll have a times c on top, so that's going to be 10. On the bottom, we'll have negative 11, our b value. Here we're going to have 2x and 2x. And then I need a number that will multiply to be 10 and add to be negative 11. Well, if I think of my factors of 10, I know that, well, the first one I'm going to write down is 1 times 10, and negative 10 minus 1 equals negative 11.